Hey everyone! Today we're diving into one of the biggest, most fundamental challenges in all of artificial intelligence. It's this constant balancing act that every single learning agent has to figure out. And it really all boils down to one simple question.
I mean, seriously, think about it for a second. When an AI is learning to master a game, or control a robot, or even just recommend your next movie, it's making choices, constantly, one after another. But the real trick is, how does it learn to make not just okay choices, but the absolute best possible choices in the long run?
Well, at the very heart of this is this classic tug of war. On one side, you have exploitation. That's just a fancy way of saying, hey, let's stick with what we know works. The agent uses the moves it's already learned, give a pretty good reward. But on the other side, you've got exploration. This is where it tries something totally new. And yeah, that new thing could be a total dud. Or it could lead to a reward that's way, way bigger than anything it's seen before.
So here's the kicker. This isn't an either-or situation. To truly master a task, an AI can't just play it safe all the time, and it can't just wander around randomly forever either. The real magic, the secret to success, is finding a smart, clever balance between exploiting what it knows and exploring what it doesn't.
Okay, I know this might all sound a little abstract, a bit theoretical, so let's bring it right back down to earth with something I promise we've all experienced.
Believe it or not, this super complex AI problem is pretty much the exact same dilemma you face every time you're trying to decide where to go for dinner.
Now, really, think about it. You can go to your favorite restaurant. That's exploitation. You know the food is great, you know what to order, you're guaranteed a good meal. It's a safe bet, a total win. Or you could explore. You could try that new place that just opened up down the street. Maybe it's the best meal of your life, or maybe it's just awful. And that, right there, is the exact same trade-off. So, if an AI has to explore, how can it do it in a smart way? Let's take a look at the journey these strategies have taken, from basically just making random guesses to developing a kind of strategic curiosity. We're going to break down 3 key approaches here, and you'll see how they build on each other. We'll start with a really simple, kind of naive method called epsilon-greedy. Then, we'll level up to the optimistic approach. And finally, we'll get to the really sophisticated stuff with a strategy called upper confidence bound, or just UCB for short. Okay, let's start at the beginning with epsilon-greedy. The idea here is dead simple. Most of the time, say 90% of the time, you exploit. You go to your favorite restaurant. But for a tiny fraction of the time, that's our epsilon, you explore. You just pick a totally random new restaurant to try. No logic, no reason, just pure chance. But you can probably already spot the problem with that, right? There's a huge weakness. As the absolute Bible of reinforcement learning by Sutton and Bardo puts it, this method explores indiscriminately. That's the key word. It makes no distinction between a new restaurant with 5-star reviews and one that everyone says to avoid. It just picks randomly. And that is not a very efficient way to find your next favorite meal. So that inefficiency leads us to the next big idea. What if we could encourage exploration in a more systematic, less random way? What if we could kind of bait the agent into trying new things just by being unrealistically optimistic?
This is a cool strategy called optimistic initialization. Back to our restaurant analogy, it's like you start with the belief that every single restaurant you've never been to is a 5-star, life-changing experience. If you really believed that, what would you do? You'd be super motivated to try all of them? Of course, as you visit them, your expectations would come back down to reality. You'd find out some are just okay, some are bad, but that initial powerful optimism forced you to explore them all.
But we can get even smarter than that. And this brings us to the most strategic approach, the pro-level move, upper confidence bound, or UCB. With UCB, you stop acting randomly or being blindly optimistic, and you start thinking like a savvy food critic. You choose which new restaurant to try based on 2 things: how good it might be and how uncertain you are about it. So that place that has promising reviews but is still a total mystery to you, that becomes the perfect spot to explore next.
So let's just trace that whole journey. We started with the fundamental dilemma, exploit versus explore. Our first kind of clumsy solution was epsilon-greedy, which just explored at random. Then we got smarter with optimism, which explores systematically. And finally, we arrived at the truly strategic solution, UCB, which explores intelligently by weighing both the potential of an option and our uncertainty about it. Let's put it all together side by side. Epsilon-greedy explores randomly, like picking a restaurant with a blindfold on.
Optimistic initialization explores systematically, trying every new place because you assume they're all amazing. And UCB explores strategically, choosing the single most promising new restaurant you haven't been to yet. You can really see how each approach is a clear step up in intelligence, right? It's the difference between trying anything new and trying the right new thing.
And that brings us to the single most important idea to take away from all of this. If you remember one thing, let it be this. The key to effective learning, for an AI or for us, is not just to explore, but to explore intelligently.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. This whole dilemma isn't just for AIs choosing restaurants. It's about our careers, our hobbies, our relationships, really any area where we're trying to grow and improve. It's always this dance between the comfort of what we know and the curiosity for what we don't. So, where else in your life is finding that crucial balance the real key to success? Thanks for tuning in.